Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to our mindfulness practice. Today's topic is about breath work for anxiety. So using a particular breathing method in the moment when you're experiencing some high degree of anxiety. So mindfulness, just to kind of recap from last time, mindfulness is paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally, being aware of what's going on at any given moment without having any opinion about what it is as best we can, to go, this is what I'm experiencing. Mindfulness is an investigation into self and helps to build self-awareness, among other things. But this is really, from my perspective and my teaching, probably the most important thing that we gain from mindfulness is a significantly increased degree of self-awareness, so that that information we get about ourselves can help us to take action, to go, okay, because I am this way, because I'm feeling anxious, let's say, here are some things that I can do. And I can also be okay with that. I can roll out the welcome mat. I can roll out the red carpet and say, welcome, anxiety. You are here now. I am aware that you're here now. And here are some things we're going to do. And I think that this is kind of an important little side note, is that not to be angry or frustrated or hateful towards our anxiety or ourselves in the anxious state, right? To really be welcoming and say, this version of me is here now, right? So that when we do practice this technique to relieve anxiety, it isn't with a strong forcing or pushing away to say, get out of here, anxiety, now, right? Because this won't work, right? Like this kind of hateful pushing away attitude is a barrier for that to go away, which I always find very interesting, because I find that to be quite counterintuitive, that to really let go of anxiety or any negative mental state that we want to go away, the way to get rid of it isn't to forcefully try to get rid of it, because what tends to happen is that hateful attitude towards that mental state or towards ourselves in that mental state shows up, and that hateful attitude just makes that difficult state stay longer. So that's the real question, is can we bring self-compassion in to this? And I think that's really key as we do these kind of exercises alongside of our mindfulness practice. So can we have that loving attitude towards ourselves as we go into these exercises to help to change a difficult mental state? And okay, Frank's timing is really, really strange these days. It's really like a pay attention to me, I get this. It's the last two times I've been in here, he's been coming in at like this exact time and wanting to come in. I don't know if he wants, he knows what we're doing. Come on, look at that, this grumpy face. He wants to participate. If I totally agree. What a what a good object lesson for this, right? The only way to get Frank to be peaceful is to welcome him in. Come on, Frank, stop scratching at the door. The more I resist, the more Frank persists. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is he's in now now that's his new thing. It used to be after I rang the bell, he would try to come in. So anyway, that's like kind of part one. Try not to resist the negative emotion that you're feeling, and then with that loving attitude and self-compassion, then try to apply whatever technique it was, or whatever technique it is. So last time we did box breathing. Box breathing is a a way to manage anxiety. So when we notice, and so step one always is mindfulness. Is what you're feeling anxiety? Have you really befriended anxiety? Have you welcomed anxiety into your house enough times to know these are the physical sensations that accompany anxiety? And I'll never forget the first moment after I'd been practicing mindfulness that I noticed the feeling of anxiety in my body. And I mean, it was really amazing because of the feeling of warmth and love that I had towards myself in that time, and went, oh my goodness, this is it. This is anxiety. This is the feeling. I've got it. I see this situation that just happened, and I observe what's going on in my body, and I went, oh my goodness, this is it. This is anxiety. This isn't fear. This isn't frustration. This is anxiety, and this is clear. Like, these are the bodily signals that happen to me when I have anxiety. So mindfulness really is that first step to know what's going on. Okay, so once we've got that kind of loving feeling, that loving awareness of ourselves in that moment, then can we wisely apply some technique. So what we went over last time was box breathing. And so that's a inhalation of, so it's a box because it works like a square, right? Inhale for 4 seconds, hold the breath for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold the breath for 4 seconds. Okay. And so it's really good in aiding concentration. It's also kind of good as a distraction. I think one of the things that I really like about it is it's super easy to remember because it's exactly the same on all 4 sides. And so I do tend to use that as kind of a baseline. Okay. But as I mentioned a little bit last time, the sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight, flight, or which is our, link to the fight, flight, or freeze response, is more linked to the inhalation. And the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest response, is more linked to the exhalation. So therefore, there is another breathing technique that tends to be more active to the parasympathetic nervous system. And so the one that I tend to do the one that I've tended to teach in the past is quite simple. It's just elongating the exhale and having the exhalation be about 2 seconds longer than the inhalation. And this is what I've used on meditation, on a particular meditation retreat. And I think it works really well. And I've noticed 100%, checking my heart rate, my resting heart rate decreases when I practice this breathing technique. So it guaranteed it works. Okay. But today, what I wanted to do was to share with you a slightly different technique. And it's called the 4-7-8 breathing cycle. Okay. And so box breathing, we're holding the breath after the exhalation. And I've always as I taught box breathing, kind of asked myself, well, what really is the purpose of holding the breath after the exhalation? Okay, so there is some benefit when it comes to CO2 tolerance. However, I think we can get that benefit also on the inhalation. Right. So if we can hold the breath, so I'll just go into what is 4-7-8 breathing, and I'll write it here in the chat. So 4-7-8 breathing is breathing in for 4 seconds, holding the breath for 7 seconds, and then exhaling slowly for 8 seconds. So 4-7-8. And so the idea is that the inhale is faster, then we're holding the breath for a period, and then the exhalation is quite long. Okay, and so this whole technique takes a few more seconds, right? So 19 seconds is the whole cycle, whereas box breathing is 16 seconds. So it's a little bit longer. It may be challenging to get started with if depending on your physical state right now. And so I would encourage you to try it the best that you can. If you find that it's too difficult, I would encourage you to lower the breath hold count, right? So instead of holding for 7 seconds, maybe we hold the breath for 5 seconds, right? So just try to follow along as best you can. And so as Gene is saying here, that slower exhalation is what activates the parasympathetic nervous system. So as we said, inhaling is with the sympathetic nervous system, exhaling is the parasympathetic nervous system. So what you can expect out of this exercise is a lower heart rate. So it should help you to lower the heart rate. It should help to reset your breathing rhythms. So sometimes stress and anxiety will cause shallow, anxious breathing. And then the 7-second breath hold is to help to increase our CO2 tolerance and oxygen efficiency. So this helps. It helps to create this kind of calm, sustained energy that can help you when you're having some kind of physical or emotionally demanding situation. And so this can help kind of maintain the balance inside of our bodies. I'll talk a little bit more about this and how it works after we've done the practice. So after we've done the exercise, just want to correct myself here. After we've done this exercise, and so let's, without much further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So get comfortable wherever you are and wherever you're sitting today. And I would encourage you to do this exercise while sitting, because or standing if that feels better, just so that the rib cage, so you can feel, so feeling awake and alive. You can feel your rib cage moving up and down as you're breathing. In fact, if you want to lie down, go ahead, give it a try. If that feels better for you, why don't you try doing this lying down, and we'll compare notes at the end of the exercise. So arriving in whatever posture you've decided to work with and work in today. Seeing if you can come to some kind of physical stillness. And noticing the body. Noticing any markers of tension. So maybe examining the forehead, the eyebrows, the jaw, feeling if there's tension in the jaw. Tuning into the chest, Do you feel any tension or tightness? Any limiting of space in the chest? So sometimes that's where we'll find signs of anxiety is a inability to breathe deeply. Maybe even a hotness in this region. And what about the shoulders? You find your shoulders feel tense. You can even rub your shoulders with your hands. Kind of notice, hey, what are these muscles feeling like right now? What about the upper back? The lower back? How about the belly? Can you feel your abdomen moving as you're breathing? So taking a few moments to notice movement of the belly with the breath. Movement of the chest as you're breathing. And so, as best you can, concentrating your attention on the feeling of breathing. And maybe noticing that just this concentrating on breath may already begin to affect the mental and physical state. So, noticing that as well. As you focus on the present moment and the physical sensations in the body, what is happening? So you can potentially notice that sometimes simply being mindful can begin to alter the physical, the mental, and the emotional state without even actively trying. And so, depending on what is going on with you, you may find that this kind of activity makes that kind of anxiety or other difficult emotions, that meaning emotions that are difficult for you to hold in the present moment, it may actually amplify them. So notice if that's happening for you. So just take a few moments here to continue focusing on the breath in its natural pace. And now we'll begin to transition into the period of the breath work So it's 4, 7, 8. We'll be inhaling for a count of 4, holding for a count of 7, and then exhaling for a count of 8. So at the end of your next exhale, inhaling 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So continue for a little bit on your own. And I also want to let go of counting for you in case some people are having difficulty with that holding or the length of the exhale. So just adjusting the exercise for whatever is appropriate for you right now. And if you find that that breath hold or that exhale is too long, you may discover that over time, as we do this practice more, we will find that it's more achievable. So as we start working with these increased times, we may find that our ability to do this starts to show up. So maybe you're just tuning into the live event right now. We're doing a breath work. It's inhaling for 4 seconds, holding for 7 seconds, exhaling for 8 seconds. And so I'll come back to guiding. I'll start with the exhale so we can perhaps synchronize together and try, after you've been working on this for a while, maybe everyone can get into this same rhythm, and don't worry if you can't. So exhaling 6, 7, 8. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we'll slowly begin to let go of that controlled breathing. And I'll encourage you to notice your breath. Has the natural pace of your breath changed? And then from the breath, becoming aware of the body. If you can notice your heart rate, have you been able to feel any difference in the heart rate? How about tension in the belly? Does there feel to be more space for breathing? How about the back? The lower back, the upper back, the shoulders, the chest, the jaw, the eyebrows, the forehead. And let's just take one more moment to get back to the breath, to feel the sensation of breathing. And then let's close practice and this exercise with 3 rings of the bell. All right. Thanks everybody for joining today, being a part of this exercise and this period of practice. How'd it go today? What did you discover? So please feel free to write whatever has happened in the chat. And, go back to kind of that beginning. Were you lying down? Were you sitting? Did you find that your posture had any impact on how things went today? Also, as you observed your body state in the beginning, what did you notice when you first observed your body state? Did you notice that tension, or did you notice anything changing just from being aware of the breath? And then we did this the 4-7-8 exercise. When that was complete, did you notice anything? So just please feel free to interact in the chat and let us know how things went. Jay has said, an excellent tip from Jay. I find it helps to be mindful of remaining relaxed because I can tense up when breathing in and holding the breath. And that's, that's natural, right? That's connected to that sympathetic nervous system. So we're breathing in can cause more tension, and so is it possible when we're doing that part of the exercise to intentionally allow for a little bit more relaxation, right? So breathing in can cause us to tense up a bit. So is it possible to remind ourselves not to tense up when we're doing that part of the exercise? Chris says, I was sitting up. I found I couldn't breathe out for 8, so I took a better inhale and then was able. And I breathed out by mouth. Is that okay? In fact, I should have mentioned this, that the way that this exercise was originally intended was to breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the mouth, although I'm so used to breathing in and out through my nose that I was doing the exercise using the nose completely. But the way that the creator of this exercise has instructed it was to breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the mouth. So if you like, the next time you try this exercise, try breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. So, and which I'll try too the next time. But like I said, I'm very much through my meditation practice conditioned to breathe both in and out through my nose. Caesar says, I was laying down, so after the breath exercise was more relaxed. Thanks so much for that input. Yeah, so Chris says, I find it hard to breathe out through the nose, and I've done this practice breathing out of the mouth. I think that's okay. I think that's perfectly an acceptable way. And not only is it an acceptable way, this is the way that it's recommended to do, and I just kind of failed to mention that at the beginning of our exercise today. Okay, so I'll keep looking at the chat to see what else shows up. Just to say here as we're ending, how 478 works. Excuse me. The long exhale is the key to this practice, right? So it is the signal for the body to relax. This extended out breath has some effect on the vagus nerve, which I think a lot of people in the meditation community talk about the vagus nerve. It's this nerve that's connecting the kind of the lower body with the upper body. And it's the activation of this nerve helps to bring the heart rate down and reduces blood pressure. The other thing that it can do is to help with heart rate variability, which is controlled by our breathing. And heart rate variability, higher heart rate, a better heart rate variability is linked to better mood, cognitive flexibility, and better immune response. Also, is shown to reduce cortisol and release anxiety. It helps to build up oxygen tolerance and oxygen efficiency. That's where the breath holding comes in, and that increased oxygen efficiency and tolerance can help to maintain a balance in the body that is crucial for calm and sustained energy. And then, like mindfulness practice, it helps to engage interoception, which is this awareness of the body itself. So the interoception is this kind of knowledge of, like, even though my eyes are closed right now, I know how far away my hand is from my head, right? So that's the idea, and this helps to train this as well. So that's kind of how all of this works. And as I was exploring this today, I've kind of decided that I would like to try this at the beginning of each of my meditation practices, at least in the next month or so, just to experiment with it and to report back to you what I find. And so maybe I haven't told you about this. I have arrhythmia. I've been diagnosed with atrial fibrillation. So usually a few times a month, my heart becomes quite erratic and the rhythm gets really out of whack. And another teacher in my community, I was chatting with him about this, and he's saying, well, hey, you're practicing mindfulness, that you're meditating, that should be helping. And it hasn't been helping. And so I'm wondering if maybe doing a breath work like this that is specifically designed to help with heart rate variability will help with my arrhythmia. So I'm going to work on that in the next month, and I'll report back to you after a month to let you know if I personally, anecdotally, one single person have seen results by doing that. Okay, and Jean says, one thing that I sometimes get balled out in is when I'm counting on my own, I start to count at the pace of my heart. And that's interesting too. I do that too, because you and I, Jean, can feel our heart rate, whereas that's not possible for everyone. And that's physiological, by the way. That's not about more mindfulness, right? I mean, if you're able to feel your heart, more mindfulness practice can get you in tune to that. But just to let you know, those of you who can't feel your heartbeat, there's nothing, there's no amount of training. Just physiologically, you're built in a way that you can't feel your heartbeat. So I start to count at the pace of my heart. This happened more last time with the box breathing. As my heart rate gets slower and slower, the counting gets slower, and thus the breath holding gets longer, and I can't hold it. And then I judge myself and realize what's happening, and then take a deep breath to recenter, and then go back to counting in the rhythm again, with the realization that my heart is beating slower than the counting. Thanks, Jean, for sharing. And that's interesting, right? I mean, the first thing that I notice about that comment is that your heart rate is slowing, right? And the fact that your heart rate is slowing means that this is working. So, I mean, that's something that I think is really interesting. And maybe, yeah, and if you need to take a breath, if you need a moment, if you need to take a breath to recenter, to start over, this is okay. If you want to change the counting, right? I mean, there's no, there's no written, this is not written in stone. This is one person's idea of how it should be done. If you find that it's getting too long and you need to change to, 3-6-7 or some other method, like, this is okay. So just the main concept is that the in breath is shorter than the out breath. The out breath is like double the counting of the in breath. So and then having some breath hold in there to help with that CO2 tolerance. And also, I mean, I believe that breath hold is going to be key for helping heart rate variability. And so that's, I'm definitely going to incorporate that as I do this exercise for the next month or so. Nil says, thanks. It was really calming. I'm struggling with OCD, so exercises like this help me to get the overstimulated nervous system down a bit. Thanks so much, Nils, for sharing. Or is it Niles? Anyway, appreciate you being here. I appreciate all of you being here. So it's been great to share this with you today, and it's time to go. I do hope I'll be back next Tuesday morning, Singapore time. It could be Monday evening for you if you're in North America or South, or if you're in the Americas or you're in Western Europe. So it could be Monday evening, but I'll try to be back. You'll see that event come up within 48 hours of the kickoff time if it's going to happen. So I really do need to be mindful of my own health. So I'm so impatient to get better. I hope I'll be better by then. So we'll see. 3, 5, 6. There you go. Thanks, Gene. And thanks everybody for being here. I hope to get better soon. Let's close our practice the way that we do with a little bit of active self-compassion, remembering, and I would encourage you to end your practice this way too, so that you always get a little bit of self-compassion intentionally added into your practice. So repeat after me. May I be happy and peaceful. May everyone watching, listening, wherever you are, I wish you all happiness and peace. And may all human beings on this great planet of ours, may we all be happy and peaceful. Thanks again, everyone. Do take care. Have a lovely day or evening, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.